So this is the 6th or even the 7th time that I have sat down to film this video, and as you will already know from the title, it is about my weight loss story. Now, the reason that I've taken such a long time to film it is because I feel an immense amount of responsibility when talking about this subject. Obviously, I completely know that I don't have tens of thousands of followers. It's not like I'm a particularly influential person per se. I just think in general, sometimes as a society, we don't always consider how much of an impact what we say about this subject can have on a whole host of people. So I really wanted to do this topic justice. I wanted to share with you my unique story. I didn't want to make it too fancy or too edited, so I filmed it on like 2 different cameras. Finally thought, you know what, it's just better to do it on my vlogging camera where it's a bit more chilled, and actually you guys seem to prefer these kind of videos as well. So I am going to sit down and be really open with you. I am going to tell you about my story, and to be honest, the main reason that I wanted to film this video was because if the 13-year-old me 11 years ago had access to YouTube, because I don't think YouTube was around back then, I would like to talk to that person and hopefully save some years of having to feel so crap, basically. So I'm going to break it down into a few different sections because obviously this topic is very, very broad. I also want to mention that obviously I'm not a nutritionist, I'm not a doctor, and I'm not an expert. This is just my story, and I wanted to share it with you guys because I do think it's interesting on YouTube. Obviously, one of the great things about it is there's so many different being the key word, stories out there. So I guess I should start at the beginning, and that is that if you have followed me right from the beginning of my blog, which I started in 2011, then you probably won't recognize me now. I look very, very different for a number of reasons, one of which is I have had a nose job. I'm not going to deny that. Obviously, I've done various videos about it and it has changed quite a bit about how my face looks, but I'd say the other sort of 50% is that I've lost 3.5 stone since I began my blog, and I probably look very different. So I shall pop a few pictures of one of my first couple of pictures on my blog, and obviously now it is my full-time job. I feel very, very lucky that I'm able to do this as my career. Obviously I do other bits on the side. I have an events business and a social media marketing business as well, but blogging, YouTube is my full-time job now. And it's really weird to think of it that way because back when I started my blog when I was 17 in 2011, I absolutely hated taking pictures of myself. It's not that I was particularly unconfident, but I just didn't like the way that I looked for various reasons, one of which was that I was very unhappy and very insecure about my nose, and I did something about that. I had a nose surgery in 2015. If you fancy watching that vlog and seeing what it looked like before and after, I will link it in the description. But yeah, that was why I probably look a little bit different to how I did back then and how I do now. But also a large portion of why I look different is because I lost 3.5 stone. To stop me going off on various different tangents, because there is so much to talk about with regards to this topic, I have noted down a couple of questions on a little notepad over there just to stop me straying into different directions and waffling on about things that aren't relevant to this video, which I do, and it's really annoying in the editing stage. So the first question that I'd written down to discuss was, why did I want to lose weight? And the simple answer to this was that I actually didn't want to lose weight. The 3.5 stone weight loss was actually unintentional. It was a side effect of a new lifestyle plan that I started back in 2015 because I was very, very poorly. I had severe IBS and skin issues. Again, I've done a whole video on this, so if you do want to watch it, I will link it in the description. But I had a whole host of health problems, and naively, it wasn't until 2015 when I sort of gave up with doctors prescribing me medications that I took researching my conditions into my own hands. And it opened my eyes to how much the food I was eating was affecting what was going on in my body. And I don't know why I hadn't considered it before, because obviously there's the saying, you are what you eat, and what goes in comes out. I don't think that is a saying actually. But I realised that the food that I was eating was actually making me really poorly, and this was also enhanced by the fact that I had a food intolerance test and it flagged up dairy and eggs as big contenders for an intolerance. So I had a consultation with a nutritionist, a really lovely nutritionist with York test. It's part of the package when you buy a blood food intolerance test. So I had a consultation with her, she gave me some recommendations, and she said to me, look, if you're going to go for this, you're going to have to commit to it for 3 months minimum, because you're not going to see a difference overnight. Obviously, I was a big cheese eater. I literally had cheese with every single meal, so that was a really hard thing for me to cut out. But I'm not going to go into details about my symptoms, but they were so severe and debilitating that I just thought, it's not worth eating cheese for. So I'm gonna try my best, I'm gonna give this a go and see what happens. So I started doing a lot of research into recipes that didn't involve any dairy, and obviously vegan recipes are very good for that because they cut out dairy and eggs, which were two of the things that I was severely intolerant to. So I just basically overhauled my whole diet, and it was quite daunting to do it overnight, but I felt really excited that I was potentially on the road to a recovery. I understand that not everybody is going to have this similar story. Perhaps you want to lose weight because you have an event coming up, or you want to lose weight because you want to look better or something like that. I will touch upon losing weight as your reasonings for losing weight in a moment, because I do think they're very, very important. But I just want to say that I don't think I would have lost weight if I'd have just had a aesthetic goal in mind. My whole life, since I've been about 13, I have wanted to be thinner, smaller. I wanted to have a flat stomach. I wanted to be the same size as all of my friends. By no means overweight, but I think I did have a higher BMI than was recommended, and I was generally just unhappy with my weight from a very young age. I look back and feel really sad about that, because I wasn't big at all, and I should have just been enjoying my teenage years without going to bed every night and wishing for a smaller, thinner body when I woke up in the morning. But I don't think I'm alone in that, and I also, looking back, don't think that certain things like the magazines that we used to read and things that we used to see, I mean, it must be a million times heightened now because we have social media. I didn't grow up around social media, so I can imagine it must be even harder to deal with. Women obviously do get criticised for their weight fluctuating up and down, and I do think that whole thing is not something I can tackle by myself, but is horrible for women's body image and confidence, self-confidence, etc. But anyway, I told you I'd go off on a tangent. When I was 13, I pretty much, well, from the age of 13, I pretty much tried every single diet going. I tried the Dukan, I've tried Weight Watchers. I remember begging my mum to buy me the Weight Watchers meals in Tesco's so that I could have it and all my family would eat something different. I was not obsessed with losing weight, but it definitely occupied a lot of time in my head when I should have been thinking about other things. And I never let it affect my social life or my education or anything like that, but I did waste an awful lot of time thinking about it. I think the whole problem for me was I was looking to diet. I wasn't looking to make myself feel healthier. I wasn't doing it for the right reasons, and I was sort of destined to fail because I was constantly punishing myself for eating the wrong things. And so I think a lot of us can be stuck in that rut sometimes of punishing ourselves when we eat something bad and feeling guilty, and then you're not actually enjoying the food that you're eating that's bad, you're just feeling guilty whilst you're eating it. And I was stuck in a cycle for well, I'd say from the age of 13 to the age of 21, of dieting, then going back to eating how I was, which was very unhealthy. I would have cheese on toast for breakfast, cheesy pasta for lunch, and then jacket potato with cheese and beans for dinner. I wasn't eating proper nutrients and I was feeling really horrible, obviously having all these digestive and skin symptoms, and just generally feeling really frustrated because I wasn't losing weight, I wasn't looking the way that I wanted to, and I was poorly as well. So to cut a long story short, I was obviously never successful with any of the diets, and I think my motto now with regards to healthy eating and healthy lifestyle has just completely transformed that unhealthy relationship with food for me. So the next question is, how did you lose the weight? I guess I've kind of touched upon this. It was a very gradual thing. It was over a period of, I'd say, 6 months to a year of me really committing to this new lifestyle choice in the fact that I wanted to be better. And I think that is why it was successful, because I didn't have, as I said, I didn't have an aesthetic goal in mind. I had a health goal in mind. And so the first thing I'd look at if you are wanting to lose weight or change your lifestyle into a healthier one, I think I would first and foremost try and find yourself a health goal, not an aesthetic goal, not a goal to look a certain way for a certain event, but more so perhaps note down, like I personally keep a food diary, so if I ever have any symptoms, I can sometimes link it to certain things that I'm eating, and everything is noted down. So I'm very in tune with my body. I know exactly what's gone in, and then I can link that to how I'm feeling. So perhaps make a list of any symptoms that you find that you get regularly, like they might be sluggish digestion, skin issues, it might be frequent migraines, it might just be generally feeling really tired and bloated and sluggish all the time. And I think it's those things that you want to try and counteract and try and continue your new lifestyle changes for, instead of an aesthetic goal. So that's my first kind of tip in how I did it. I had a health goal in mind, and that was my motivation. I just want to say also that I have absolutely zero willpower, as you will already know from the fact that I tried every single diet going and never was successful with anything. Obviously I achieved temporary goals. I think that's the thing with the word diet. It has very temporary connotations and quite negative connotations as well, to be honest. It kind of signifies that you are going to try something for a while, but it's only a short-term thing. So I think just removing the word diet from the dictionary would be a good idea. So, sorry, the question was, how did you lose weight? So I decided, alongside obviously these lifestyle changes, that I would introduce a new lifestyle mantra into my life. And I know that sounds really like airy-fairy, but I am not one of those people usually. I just think it helps to have something that you can say in your mind to yourself if you're having a moment where you're considering why you're doing it, why you're eating a certain way, etc. So my life mantra is that I eat to make my body happy. And this isn't a temporary craving, satisfy your cravings happy. This is a make sure you feel healthy, energetic, and that those symptoms are completely banished from your life. So every time I would eat something, I would question, is this going to make my body happy? And usually as well, because I keep the food diary, I can reference back and see, okay, that didn't make me feel very well, so I'm going to avoid it. And so for the past 3 years and all throughout my weight loss journey, I have used that little phrase. It's just been twinkling in the back of my head every time I think about what I'm going to eat, every time I meal plan, every time I go to a restaurant, because at the end of the day, eating a great big ice cream sundae might be really nice at the time and it might temporarily make me happy, but it's going to make me feel really poorly afterwards and probably sit on the toilet for about 12 hours. So, and I'm not even joking, I wish I was joking. So obviously for me, that mantra worked because I could question, is this piece of chocolate cake going to make my body happy? And the answer was usually no. So that's how I would look at everything. I think that's also helped me maintain my weight because it's still something that I continue to think about on a day-to-day basis. Again, I also think it means that you can become really in tune with your body, which is only a good thing. I think it's really nice to be able to know exactly how certain foods are going to react with your body, how they're going to make you feel, and whether they're going to produce any nasty unwanted symptoms. So lots of you might be thinking, well, I think that's a bit of a sad existence, as I've been told many times. I think you should eat what you like and suffer the consequences, or just live a little, you know, enjoy your life, don't worry about eating a certain way. Obviously, what works for me is not going to work for everyone. I completely appreciate that. We're not all the same, we're not all the same people, we're going to have a difference of opinions. But for me, that mantra, that motto, it works for me. I feel so much happier, healthier. Obviously, I went from, I don't know whether I've mentioned this before, but I went from 11 stone 6 to 8 stone 4, I think. And I'm now around the 9 stone mark, which I think is my natural weight, and I'm very happy with this weight. And as I said, it was a really gradual thing, so it wasn't like it happened overnight. It wasn't like I was measuring every week how much I was losing. It was more so I was just feeling better in myself. My skin was glowing, I felt more energetic, healthier. My symptoms weren't there anymore. They took about 3 weeks to disappear. And then once you're starting to feel better, you don't want to go back to how you were eating before, because it's just not a nice feeling to have all of those symptoms. So it was really successful, obviously, and I think that initial 6 months was the easiest part, even though I gave up cheese cold turkey, which for many of you may seem daunting. I have my own opinions now with regards to dairy and the dairy industry, and I don't want to be preaching that to anyone because that's completely my own opinion. However, an interesting fact that I do want to add is that 75% of the Western world is actually lactose intolerant, whether you know it or not. We actually lose our lactase enzymes around the age of 6 years old, which is obviously the enzyme that digests lactose. So it can cause a whole host of symptoms in people that probably don't realise, or they're putting it off. But I would definitely recommend, just as a little trial, seeing how cutting out dairy helps and whether you miss it, because there's so many great alternatives nowadays that I honestly don't miss it. I never look at a cheese toasty or a bit of cheese or cheesy pasta like I used to. In fact, my whole taste buds have changed since I gave up cheese, which is really, really weird. I never used to like tomatoes, now I love them. And I can't really have anything creamy because it's a little bit rich and sickly. So it is weird how when you cut it out, you don't crave it. So it is very strange. Anyway, I've gone off on a tangent again. Another question that I wrote down was, how does exercise, or how did exercise fit into your weight loss journey, and what do you do now? So again, exercise was something that I used to consider when I thought of dieting. It was something that I used to punish myself with almost, because I absolutely hated going to the gym. I would force myself to go and then hate every minute, couldn't wait to get home. And I don't think that that is a good way of looking at exercise in the gym, because it should just be something that you look forward to and that makes your mind and your body happy. So I completely changed up the way that I looked at exercise, and I think a lot of this was down to the help of my now boyfriend David. He is very into exercise, very into fitness and the gym, and he actually introduced me to the weights section. Before then, I used to completely freak out the thought of entering the weights section. As I'm sure you know, it was very male dominated. It's not so much anymore actually, which is really nice to see. It was very scary because there were just loads of like grunting men in the weights section, and you didn't really want to venture in there because, well, one, I didn't know what I was doing and I would just look like a complete idiot, and two, because it was quite intimidating. However, my boyfriend showed me exactly what to do. He showed me some little moves. I looked up on YouTube some videos of some sets and sort of almost routines to do, and I think I really started to enjoy that because at school I used to get involved in a lot of shows and dancing, and that was my exercise, my passion. And I think because weights, you can kind of do like certain sets, repetitive movements, etc. I really enjoy that side of exercise. So I just completely rethought the way that I looked at exercise and also what I was doing. If you're not enjoying what you're doing in the gym, I used to just pound at the treadmill for about an hour and hope for the best, but that's actually not doing anyone any good. Definitely try and find an exercise or something active that you can do that you enjoy, because you enjoying it is first and foremost the most important thing, and it's going to make you incorporate it into your lifestyle as a permanent thing, not just a temporary thing. And then the final thing that I wanted to discuss was just a couple of additional things that I've been weaving into my everyday life just to kind of assist me on this journey and make sure that I continue it as a long-term thing. One of those things is drinking plenty of water. I'm sure you've heard this so many times before. I don't want to sound like a stuck broken record. A stuck broken record? A broken record, stuck record, you know what I mean. I drink tons of water. I think not only is it great for your skin, but it also stops, you know, when you start to feel a bit hungry or you get cravings, or you feel a bit tired in the afternoon, I always just have a really cold, refreshing glass of water, sometimes with a bit of lemon, especially in the mornings, because that can really wake you up and kickstart your digestion. So that is something that I do. I also carry around, I've got it here, I carry around a huge water bottle like this with me everywhere. So this is a 2 litre. Try and drink at least one of these a day. Obviously I don't gulp it all back in one go. That is dangerous, don't do that, but it is really handy because it means that you can kind of track what you're drinking and make sure that you're getting enough hydration. And then another thing that I've also done, because whilst I obviously did lose weight, and I will have probably popped a few before and after pictures somewhere in this video, if not I'll pop them in here, I did have a little bit of cellulite that I couldn't get rid of, and I was a bit frustrated by it because I was obviously exercising, I was eating really well, and yet there was still this kind of annoying cellulite clutching to my thighs and my bum. Now cellulite is completely normal. As women we all have it, men have it too. It is a common thing and it's not something to be embarrassed or ashamed of. I completely know that now, and I think it's just a part of our bodies. However, if you do have cellulite on an area that you know you're going to be showing a lot, i.e. I had it on the very kind of bit above my knee, on the backs of my legs, and so because of this I felt really self-conscious about wearing certain dresses, and I looked into natural remedies and ways to remedy this, see how I could try and disguise it a little bit, just because it was playing on my confidence. And I also just wanted to research into what cellulite was and why I had it. And what I ended up doing was having a course of treatments called the Venus Legacy treatments. I had these done at Neville's salon in Knightsbridge, which is also where I get my hair done. So if you recognise the name, that is probably where it's from. But essentially I started going for a treatment every week on a Monday, and it's basically a very strange massage, but what it is a warm suction massage, and it stimulates the fat cells in your body under your skin to start to disperse and to kind of absorb themselves within your natural body's kind of removal of its toxins. And it's a really harmless, natural process, but it basically just speeds it up and is a really nice addition to a healthy lifestyle. You can't do it if you're just gonna eat lots of junk food and hope that it's gonna get rid of everything. You do have to do your work as well, and it's a very strange feeling, a very relaxing feeling, don't get me wrong. I definitely looked forward to those sessions on a Monday, but it's like sort of being kissed by an octopus, because you've got lots of little suction caps and it feels really hot, and it's a little bit, it sounds like it's like slurping your leg. It's very strange. If I have a clip from it, because I think I did film one of the sessions. I will insert it here. I'll try and cover my bum up because obviously you guys don't want to see that, but I do think it's interesting to look at the different treatments. It is obviously a non-surgical treatment. It's not liposuction at all. It's nothing of the sort. It's just a massage, almost to take on lymphatic drainage as well. So it just really gets your fat cells and your blood just all kind of moving and speeding up the process of your natural toxins being flushed out of your body. So you do again have to make sure you're drinking lots of water and eating really well, not eating too much salt or anything like that, because sometimes salt can give you a little bit of water retention. And yeah, that was another thing I got it for actually. I did find that I was on a new pill, contraceptive pill, and it was making me have a little bit of water retention around my hips and my bum area. So that was like the final step in my journey, and I guess just to feeling a little bit more confident. It was sort of a treat to myself because I knew I'd changed my relationship with food from an unhealthy one to a healthy one, and I just wanted to kind of celebrate that, I suppose. So those treatments were called the Venus Legacy treatments. They are done at a place in Knightsbridge called Neville's Salon, and I will link all of the information down below because the lady who did them for me was so lovely. I enjoyed those sessions thoroughly. I used to look forward to them because it was almost like just having a massage every week. I mean, you could probably fall asleep in there if you wanted to, but a lot of the time I did emails on my phone, had it done, and I was so happy with the results. And I think I do have some clips. If I can find them, I will, of when I did a shoot for a brand, and you can clearly see the cellulite on the tops of my legs. And I remember after seeing that video, I thought, oh my gosh, this is really getting me down. What can I do? And so that was why I decided to start these treatments. And then I also have a clip of me in Tenerife, which is after I had them done, where I'm really happy with how they look. It just really softened and toned the area. A lot of people have it done for skin tightening if they find that they've just got stubborn areas of fat which won't budge, or stubborn areas of cellulite that won't budge. It's just really good for all over toning, softening and smoothing. So that was the last step in my weight loss journey. I think I've waffled on for about half an hour, so I'm sorry if I bored you, but I did just want to briefly give you an overview of my journey, why I lost the weight, how much I lost, that it was a gradual thing, and I guess to round off, as I was saying at the beginning, also to demonstrate that when you are thinking about these things, sometimes having an aesthetic goal is not necessarily the best way moving forward. I think it's really healthy to look at it as a lifestyle change and to think about why you want to make these changes, these healthier changes, to better you, to better your lifestyle and your overall well-being, I suppose. And I wish when I was 13, obviously I wasn't as mature back then, but I do wish I'd kind of looked at it as a lifestyle change and just developed a better relationship with food, because it has taken me over 3 years to rejig how I looked at food, and that eating something wasn't about punishing me or making me slim. It was about making me well. I think sometimes we underestimate that our bodies are amazing things. They come in all shapes and sizes, and this isn't about losing weight necessarily. Obviously my journey, it did involve losing a little bit of weight, but I think it's more so about feeling your best self. And when you're eating to make your body happy, you will by default reach a natural weight for you. So I hope you've enjoyed listening to a little bit of my weight loss journey and my lifestyle changes. Obviously this is just a starting point. I haven't gone into depth about various things, about what I'm eating now, etc. But you can watch my what I eat in a day videos, which gives you an idea and an overview of that. But if you do have any other questions for me, please do feel free to leave them in the comment box. As you know, I'm more than happy, more than open to share with you any of my advice or my own personal story, journey, etc. So please do feel free to ask me anything about what I've spoken about, or perhaps you're intrigued about a different aspect, please do feel free. I'm more than happy to answer any questions that you may have. Fingers crossed that you found this somewhat helpful and that you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for sticking with me. I know this one is a long one. So I'm gonna stop waffling now and round this video off because my throat is like really croaky. I don't know whether you can hear, but I've just been talking to you for about 40 minutes and there's no voice left. So I'm gonna say goodbye. Thank you ever so much for watching. I really do hope you've enjoyed this one. If you did, please do feel free to like this video and subscribe, and I shall see you again very soon for another video.